Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. All right. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time. As promised, there is not such a large gap between the last episode and this one. When we did questions for Jeremiah, I told you I was going to hit something today. This today is really fun for me. It's not going to be super long, but it's really fun for me because this is a big part of the reason why I started doing the podcasting from the beginning. I wanted to talk about cultural issues using psychological framework, which means psychology, sociology, culture, and these subcategories from these different aspects of all three of them. And today, big picture, I'm going to give you a big picture, and I just love it. So, quick bite, but a very important bite. Tip of the day, we all have influence. You, me, all of us. How often have you heard your vote doesn't matter? Nobody cares. You have no clout. I don't think you're going to be able to swing it. You're not the boss. You don't have any leverage. You don't have a seat at the table. Stuff like this is all designed to put you in your place. But what place? See, there's a topic today that is super important. There's two things that dictate influence. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, there's only two? Yeah. You're going to be like, no. Money dictates influence. Relationships dictate influence. This over here dictates influence. This does, that does. All of these things dictate influence. There's two things that dictate influence. That's it. Money flows through them. Decisions flow through them. Relationships flow through them. And you're going to learn something. One of them is relational, and the other is structural. All influence comes from those two things. Look back in time, study history, go all the way back to biblical times, folks. It's the same thing. When Jesus walked the planet, it was the same thing. So let's get on with it. What's the structural piece? That would be policy, laws, rules, the roles given based on hierarchical models. So it would be things like you're the owner of a business. That's a role. That doesn't give you any social influence. It gives you hierarchical influence. And that has some massive limitations. But it does have some initial benefits. The initial benefits would be if you hire somebody and you're paying them, then they have a job to do. It doesn't matter if they like you or like the job necessarily. Of course, if you're leaning all into the policy, laws, rules, and the roles that you have, it's going to fade. So that's on one side. That's a structural influence. And just so you're aware, structural influence without the right people, which is the other side, fails 100% of the time. You cannot have structural influence succeed without the right people. It cannot happen. It's why the Constitution cannot succeed without the right people in place. You can have the structure, but success is dependent on the people. So let's go to the other side. Social norms. Cultural influence, social influence, all comes through this area of social norms. So if I want my hoodie to be an influence on other people, I have to be influential to other people. And then they will look at my hoodie and be like, well, dang, I like him and he's wearing the hoodie, so I want to wear the hoodie. That's social influence. Social norms create that, right? And when we break social norms to create new social norms, we have the ability at that point to be influencers. It's seeing when a social norm is no longer beneficial, and then we change it. Recently, I've encountered a lot of the statements, you don't matter, essentially. You have no clout, you have no influence, you're not in the right place, you don't have the right education. Now, I got to thinking about this. Let's sidestep for a second. This, I think, is super important, though. I was thinking about this the other day. If I were, I am not an academically studied theologian. What would happen if I went out and tried to start a church? Weird, right? That's what people would think. Oh, he doesn't, does he know what he's talking about? I would not have the structural influence from the beginning. Structural, the academic. At what point did academics dominate religion? I'll tell you what, that actually happened in the Old Testament. Go read it. Go read it. Go listen to pastors talking about in the old days. How many people, even in the New Testament, were theologians like we would describe today, academically prepared? You had these 12 disciples. How many of them were academically prepared? It's not all of them. It's not even close to all of them. They got prepared by being in relationships and seeing things and experiencing the social norms that Jesus created. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. All right. That was a little sidestep, but it's an important sidestep, so I wanted to hit it. Okay, coming back. So how do we create structural influence? Well, that's easy. Policy, laws, and rules. And then it's applying the policies, laws, and rules. So for instance, if we in the United States have a policy, laws, and rules that say, in order to come into the United States, you have to do so in this manner, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, goes on, whatever, however long it is. And if you don't do that, you are here illegally and you need to not be here, which, by the way, that exists. But understand that structural influence without the right people was not being followed, right? We just, and now we're hearing that structural influence is going to be followed. Why? Because of the people who are in charge of those structural influences. Notice the people are the necessary component. They always have been and they always will be. Culture and social groupings have always been driven by individuals, by the people, and they always will be. That is the design, the human nature design. You don't have to like it. You can think, I'm going to create the best structure that's ever been in place and enough rules and laws, but then those rules and laws have to be followed. And how do they get followed? Oh, yeah, you think jail is a deterrent for illegal activity? Sort of, but not as much as it should be. it's always going to be coming back to the people. So how do we create social and cultural influence? It's really simple. Set your life on something meaningful, something powerful. Morality. You have to have some set of morality. Now, I'm not telling you you have to follow my morality, but if you don't have some structure in morality, meaning, understand I said structure, but understand what I mean by that. You have to know who you are and what your purpose is. And when you do that, folks, others will want to follow. They will come alongside because they see that your life has purpose. And then you can influence them. It's part of the challenge we're encountering right now in our political arena, which, by the way, is a subcategory of culture. It is not culture. It does not drive culture. It will never drive the culture. You and me drive the culture. Individuals drive the culture. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you, or they just don't understand. They're naive. So what you do is you establish your morality, and then you practice living it out. And like a magnet with metal, it will draw people to you who are hungry for that moral structure. Why? They'll see it in you. And then they'll want to know you. And through the relationship, you'll be able to influence people. You ever noticed how in some circles they're wearing jean jackets? In other circles, they're wearing all black clothing. All of them were drawn into it, maybe at first by a structural influence that caught their attention. But they only stay because of the people they encounter in there. That's it. That is why we all have influence. You have it. I have it. The only question is, are you going to use it? Or are you going to give it away for free? You can give yours away for free. People will come along and try to take it from you and use you as a minion. Or you can stand firm in something you believe. Like Tupac used to say, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I think he said, my mom always told me, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Genius. That is social influence. That's how it works. So when we see people of influence, there's two ways they've gotten there, and only two ways they could have gotten there. One is they climbed the structure and didn't do enough damage along the way to fall down yet. Or they did it through the social norms process. They created relationships. Now, can you do both? Sure, you can do both. But if you do the structural influence without the personal interaction, the relationship, it will fail every time. Every time. You have to stand for something. The only way structures are upheld. It's the only way. I hope this was helpful. I appreciate you taking the time to join me. This one, I told you it was a small, kind of a short bite, but a super important bite. Take this, share it with friends. Please get the word out there. We are back and we are trying to do some good and important things. Let us know what you think. Always, you can like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And we will see you again soon. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms. But you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.